Now on CoastTV News.
Growth check. Milford addresses development concerns, what the city says about the future of housing, schools, and services. Water warning. What Rehoboth is asking of you to avoid a water shortage this 4th of July. And hidden hazard. Forever chemicals detected in Delmarva fish. Experts weigh in on safety.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Good Friday evening. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Thanks for joining us here for CoastTV News at 11. Our top story tonight, a new traffic light has been installed here in Milton. It's at the corner of Mulberry Street and Route 16, but it is still covered up. Now, back on June 6th, a woman died in a car accident at that intersection. Some locals have been saying a traffic light is really needed there, but we caught up with one person from Milton today who's concerned the light might back things up.
I just think this is going to back up Mulberry further. It's going to back up 16 further. And if they don't have the lights synchronized at Union, I just don't see this is going to be any help to us at all.
Now, DelDOT has not set a firm date for when that traffic light will become fully operational. But this talk about road safety brings us to our CoastTV poll. We want to know what you think makes driving the most dangerous on the coast right now. Looking at the results, 72% say just plain old bad drivers, 17% say summer traffic, 8% say distracted driving, a few think bikers or people walking on the roads. We also have a comment from Noreen in Milton tonight. She thinks the speed limits are too high on all of the streets. She says they should drop about 5 to 10 miles per hour. We want to know what you think. You can vote. You can leave a comment yourself. Go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. Milford is laying out plans for growth as city officials acknowledge mounting concerns about overdevelopment. The city's economic development administrator released some information today looking to ease those concerns. According to the administrator, just 1% of the city's total land has been annexed in the last decade, and they say it could take up to 36 years to build out all approved housing and open land. Now, more than 3,400 homes have already been approved in this city, but the city says developers are going to have to help pay for roads, utilities, and school impacts. Student enrollment was up by 300 students over the last decade. They say to combat that, a new middle school is opening up this fall. Now to Rehoboth, we have been following several hotel proposals in the city, and today one of them made some progress. The Atlantic Crown Hotel, it's planned for Baltimore Avenue next to Atlantic Sands. It's now heading to a public hearing. Plans include 55 rooms and 15 outdoor parking spaces. Meanwhile, just around the corner on Rehoboth Avenue, the Bellhaven Hotel project, it's hit another delay. The Planning Commission postponed its hearing because plans were submitted late. That hearing now set for July 25th. And here's what some people in Rehoboth had to say about all this today.
The proposed building over top of the stores and the restaurants here, the Candy Kitchen, which is iconic. I hate to see the sky go away.
I think that it would ruin the appeal of the smaller shops, and I don't think it would fit in.
And plans show that the Atlantic Crown Hotel would cover 3 lots on Baltimore Avenue. We'll keep you updated. Also, in case you didn't know, the demolition of the former Grottos and Sirocco Hotel on the Rehoboth Boardwalk, that wrapped up today. The city of Rehoboth allowed an extension for the demolition after crews discovered structural safety problems. You can see it seems to be fully demolished there. Also in Rehoboth, officials there asking people to conserve water ahead of the 4th of July holiday. City leaders say they saw a drop in water levels around this time last year. They're hoping this plan will get ahead of that. Officials suggest things like checking your pipes or turning off the faucet while brushing your teeth. They're also asking neighbors to water their plants on alternate days.
This is going to help flatten that demand for water when we have some going on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then some going on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
And Rehoboth Beach officials are also asking neighbors to not water or irrigate on any of the rainy days next week. If you don't know what days it's going to rain next week, that's why we're going to take a live look into Ocean City and turn things over to our first alert meteorologist, Chris Mastrobono. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening, Christina. Well, our heat wave came to an abrupt end today at 9 days. We were at 98 yesterday. Well, all we could muster up today was 71 degrees. We had plenty of clouds across the area. Look at highs across the area. 74, Salisbury 73, Cambridge 72, and Ocean City. Right now in Cambridge, we're seeing temperatures in the 70s, 73 in Ocean City right now. And you can see temperatures have been relatively steady throughout the evening. Haven't really budged much. In fact, they're going to slowly rise through the overnight. Some fog being reported around Salisbury, about a 1.5 mile visibility there, half a mile. Dense fog advisories are up for the coast. Those run through noon tomorrow, so we could see the fog kind of linger into the morning, and the fog advisory extending from Ocean City down to Chincoteague, that runs through 4 a.m. Well, we don't have any rain out there. We just have a lot of low-level moisture, some spotty drizzle. Warm front's going to be pushing northward overnight into Saturday, and that's going to allow for the 90-degree temperatures to return. Partly cloudy skies. Can't rule out an isolated pop-up storm as the sea breeze kicks in throughout the afternoon. And then we're looking at a mostly sunny Sunday with, again, a threat of a pop-up thunderstorm. We have more unsettled weather to talk about in that 7-day forecast, and we'll break it all down coming up a little bit later on the newscast. Christina.
Thank you, Chris. Well, scientists have found PFAS, also known as forever chemicals, in certain fish in the waters of Delmarva. The Maryland Department of Environment has an interactive map on their website to track these fish and see the guidelines for consumption. Heather Walsh, the U.S. Geological Survey, has some personal advice when it comes to choosing what fish to eat, specifically catfish, a species that was included in these tests.
Look at those advisories because they're different for every waterway. So stick with those advisories. As far as blue catfish, they recommend eating blue catfish that are under 30 inches and trimming away the belly fat and the red meat.
Now, DNR says they are aware of these PFAS and they recommend people follow the fish consumption guidelines through the Maryland Department of the Environment. Proposed NASA budget cuts from the Trump administration have employees on uncertain ground. At a NASA town hall this week, leadership apparently discussed options for agency employees to leave voluntarily to minimize involuntary layoffs later. A current Wallops employee and a former employee have reported at least 24 workers have taken that offer so far. Accomack County Supervisor Jeff Parks sits on the Wallops Research Park Leadership Council. He says he's hopeful that private contractors will fill the gap.
I hope that those are people, if they're taking these buyouts, they're not just losing a job, they're taking a buyout to move on. And the real growth for us with Wallops, and my role as the chairman of the Wallops Research Park Leadership Council, is facilitating private industry and other organizations coming in. I mean, I would hope, and we do see opportunities coming down the road where maybe some of those people can come over and join some of our private partners.
And Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia says he believes the Trump administration's efforts to slash the federal workforce is, quote, ridiculous. Kaine says he's committed to doing everything he can in the U.S. Senate to protect civil service at NASA Wallops. In regional news, the Supreme Court has sided with parents who objected to LGBTQ-themed books in a Maryland elementary school curriculum. In a 6-3 ruling, justices said the Montgomery County School Board violated parents' religious rights by not allowing them to opt their kids out. The books, added in 2022 to reflect diverse families, the school board says, include titles with gay and transgender characters. Parents from Muslim, Catholic, and Orthodox Christian communities sued after the district reversed its original opt-out policy, saying that would just be too hard to manage. Groups like Concerned Women for America rallied in support of the ruling today.
Children shouldn't be forced to have to confront this sort of information without their parents' consent. These are the kinds of conversations that need to happen within the home, with their parents, and not with teachers that maybe don't have the same interest in a child's well-being and in their life.
In higher education, University of Virginia President James Ryan is planning to step down. It comes amid pressure by the Justice Department for the school to dismantle its diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. It's not yet clear when Ryan's resignation will take effect. Well, the race is on for Republican lawmakers to push through a bill containing President Donald Trump's domestic agenda, better known as the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Senate GOP leaders are hoping to move the bill in the chamber by this weekend so that the president can sign it by their self-imposed 4th of July deadline. But as Mary Bell Gonzalez reports, the bill is being met with some hurdles and a deeply divided GOP conference.
It's a great bill. It's a popular bill.
President Donald Trump is set to spend a rare weekend in Washington while pushing Senate Republicans to pass his so-called Big Beautiful Bill.
I have been doggedly determined to get this done by July 4th, as has the president.
Yet the sweeping domestic bill is on shaky ground. On Thursday, the Senate's rules referee struck down key provisions, saying they don't meet the chamber's strict budget rules so that the bill can be approved by a simple majority vote. Now, Republican leaders are scrambling to rework it.
I'm not as set on getting this done on July 4th as some of the others. If they try to jam it through and the House does, and they go too far in changing what the House did, it runs the risk of it failing here. That's the reality.
Medicaid is one sticking point, with some Republicans concerned about potential cuts to social safety net programs. Democratic leaders like California's Governor Gavin Newsom opposed the bill, saying if passed, it could eliminate health care coverage for millions of Golden State residents.
I never thought I'd see this in my lifetime. This is devastating.
The Republican Party is still rewriting key parts of the bill and have yet to release the final text. Their hope to get the final vote this weekend and, if successful, have it on the president's desk by July 4th.
But I feel like the Senate's making our bill better, from what I'm hearing. I think they've made it better in SNAP. I think they've made it better in the federal retirements. I think they've made it better with the energy.
I'm Mary Bell Gonzalez reporting.
In the meantime, across 4 recent polls from the Washington Post, Fox News, KFF, and Quinnipiac University, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act is unpopular to the public. On average, 55% of surveyed Americans opposed it, 31% support it. And we still have more news to get into this Friday evening. Coming up, a beach umbrella safety warning, the latest accident that's sparking calls for awareness. But first, it is Friday, so that means all your cool things to do this weekend are up next.
And I hope you enjoyed this brief cool down, because we're cranking up the heat for the weekend in Cambridge and Crisfield. Temperatures right back up in the lower 90s with daily afternoon storm threats. We'll track the storms and more heat coming up.
If you don't have a fancy European vacation planned for the summer, don't worry. Europe is coming to you. The Starboard in Dewey Beach is bringing a taste of Pamplona, Spain to the coast with the 28th annual Running of the Bull. Down the beach and through the streets, this event brings people together for the sake of silliness and to raise money for the Rehoboth Beach Volunteer Fire Company. Over in Lincoln, Compassionate Hearts is hosting their Healing Hooves fundraiser this Saturday from 3 to 6. Meet therapy horses that do amazing work helping people heal. Your support can help fund equine-assisted psychotherapy for those who need it most. The BB Ranch is opening its doors for a grand opening event this Saturday from 11 to 6. Explore some new exhibits and learn about the rich history of Chincoteague. After the grand opening, the ranch will be open Tuesday through Saturday until October. And if you're still wondering about plans for Saturday night, head to Millsboro for a community favorite, the Stars and Stripes Festival. It's happening from 6 to 9:30 at the Millsboro Little League Fields on West State Street. Enjoy food trucks, vendors, live music, and a fireworks show to cap off the night. The rain date is Sunday. You can find event details, tickets, and more. Just go to CoastTV.com and click on Cool Things to Do.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the brief cool down, because we're going to crank right back up to the 90s over the weekend. Right now we're at 73 in Ocean City. Despite the cooler temperatures, it's still quite gross out. Dew point 71, so it's still humid out there. We've had some spotty drizzle, just some low clouds, some fog. Temperatures have been pretty steady, in fact. We're holding at 70 in Lewis, 69 in Milford, 70 in Seaford, 71 Salisbury. We're seeing some fog in and around Salisbury and to the south. about 1.5 miles there. Other than that, not seeing that much in the way of dense fog, but we do have a dense marine fog advisory. Delaware Bay, back bays through the coast, and that runs through 12 o'clock tomorrow. So we could see some fog kind of linger there in the morning. And then we also do have a coastal flood advisory that continues through about 3 a.m. And then the fog advisory to the south, I should say down to Chickatee, that runs through 4 a.m. So we had a few spotty areas of drizzle, a lot of low clouds. We have a warm front. It's going to be pushing northward overnight into Saturday, and that's going to open up the door for that heat to return. 71 was all we did today. The record 98 set back in 1952, so no record highs broken today, and you could see that streak of sweltering heat and humidity. The 101, that actually marks the highest temperature in June ever for Georgetown. We only did that, tied the record there, so that was only 2 times we've done that in the history dating back to the 1940s. So tomorrow we're in the lower 90s, upper 80s on the beach, but there you see in the afternoon still feeling like 102, Selbyville, 100 in Millsboro, and then I think we'll see some triple-digit heat indices at times on Sunday as well. But again, watch out for those pop-up storms. If you're by the pool, at the beach, start seeing the sky get dark or hear some thunder, that's your cue to get indoors. We could see some brief downpours tomorrow and maybe even some gusty winds, and we'll do it again on Sunday afternoon. Not a widespread event, but kind of more of the pop-up variety with the sea breeze kicking in. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center has pushed the severe threat further to the north, so we'll see what the overnight guys think. The overnight crew thinks maybe they'll edit that tomorrow. We'll keep a close eye on that, but we do keep the shower and storm threat in play really through Tuesday. Tuesday is probably the greatest threat. We have a stronger cold front coming through, and that could produce some potential strong to severe storms as we go into Tuesday evening. But Chickatee, watch out for the storms tomorrow, as well as Assateague. So we'll keep the thunderstorm threat in place Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Temperatures generally in the mid-80s through Ocean City. Lewis, we're in the upper 80s, right around 90, and then we're in the mid to upper 90s through Rehoboth into Monday. So we stay right in the lower 90s, much of interior Delmarva through at least Tuesday. Humidity is still rather high, but the good news is we get some refreshing air for a bit next Wednesday, and right now the 4th of July looking pretty good with mostly sunny skies and highs in the upper 80s.
All right, great. Thank you, Chris. Well, an urgent warning tonight for beachgoers this summer after a freak accident left one New Jersey lifeguard hospitalized. NBC's Julie Serkin reports on the new safety standard that could keep your umbrella in the sand and out of the air.
Tonight, this 18-year-old lifeguard is speaking out after a freak accident on a New Jersey beach. Alex, who only wanted us to use her first name to protect her privacy, describing the frightening moments when she was impaled by a beach umbrella this week.
It was a fever dream. Like, it still doesn't feel real.
8361, the umbrella is in the left armpit.
First responders rushed to the scene.
They cut the umbrella on both ends so they could remove that part of it.
Alex is now out of the hospital and beginning her road to recovery.
I'm just gonna go back and keep living life as normal.
It's a story all too familiar for Ed Quigley.
An umbrella is a javelin with a sail attached.
Ed nearly died after being struck in the eye by a rogue beach umbrella in 2015. Since then, he's made it his mission to improve beach umbrella safety.
Now, how difficult is it to pull this umbrella out without the anchor? Nothing at all.
Pointing beachgoers to a new voluntary safety standard from the Consumer Product Safety Commission.
Basically what it is an anchor device that provides 75 pounds of resistance to lift. This is actually the anchor. The umbrella goes through the center.
It's a little more involved than what you might be used to.
We want to take this other loop up here and then we just finish it off a little bit on the sides.
The result? Shade. That's much safer.
Now, if anybody tries to lift this umbrella, it's about 120 pounds. So it's not going anywhere.
Julie Serkin, NBC News, Wildwood, New Jersey.
And this is not the first time we've heard from Ed Quigley. You might remember his story on CoastTV News at 11 about a month ago. His accident happened along our coast on Bethany Beach back in 2015. Coming up in sports tonight, baseball tournaments begin this weekend at Sports at the Beach. See highlights from one local squad's game earlier today. And coming up, some history uncovered in Newcastle County. Demolition dust reveals buried treasure at a Newark church. Stay with us.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
Former President Joe Biden among thousands of people, mourners at the Minnesota State Capitol today, paying respects to State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband. The couple was killed in their Minneapolis home earlier this month in what officials are calling a politically motivated assassination. The former president and former Vice President Kamala Harris are scheduled to attend a private service for the Hortmans on Saturday. Well, this next story is fascinating, and some of our viewers who hail from Newcastle County might recognize the St. John AM Church in Newark. After being hit twice by drivers fleeing police, the church is now uncovering pieces of its past during the rebuild. Tim Furlong reports.
We're going to build it back bigger and better.
From the moment a driver smashed into the St. John AM Church last August and another driver crashed here in January,
the Holy Spirit do still show up.
The services and their work for the Newark community haven't stopped.
We still haven't stopped ministry. We're doing our feeding ministry where we serve about 45, 50 families each month.
But early this week, the demo finally got underway to build this church back bigger and stronger. But during the knockdown out front, a pair of amazing discoveries. First, a long-hidden wood sign from the church's construction in 1867. It had probably been covered over by bricks since a renovation in the 1960s.
As soon as the brick came down, I looked up and I'm like, oh, stop. Don't you tear that down. We need to save this.
The construction worker who uncovered the sign, just as excited as church leaders, he has never before found anything of this significance.
I never find something like that, man. I try to find some gold too, but I never find a gold, man.
And inside the church, a second surprise.
This where the capsule, you can see it was cut out. That's where the capsule was.
They found a time capsule that had been hidden in the wall probably since the 1960s and packed inside a now brittle metal box from a New England cracker bakery, a Bible, a book of discipline from 1907, and some really fascinating church paperwork.
You got our ministers and our trustees. That was from 1872, 1897. All this was in the time capsule.
The leaders of the church work really hard to preserve the history of the church. They even have a climate-controlled case for old documents, but they had never, ever found anything like what they found here in the demolition Monday. It was like they literally uncovered treasure chests.
When the bricks came down, there was like, like the Holy Grail.
The Reverend excited about these finds and even more excited to rebuild a bigger, stronger church building that will continue serving the community, hopefully, for at least another couple hundred years.
Praise be to God. You know, God, He's always covering us.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Yeah, first week of summer means baseball tournament time in Georgetown. Let's show you one local squad today at Sports at the Beach. Delmarva Aces 15U squad taking on the Renegades out of Great Falls, Virginia. Top three, those boys up 2-0 already. Vance Bennett up to the plate for the Aces. Chops one to short. Gonna be a close play. Throw is offline. Then you can cue the yakety sax. Bennett sprints to second. Another errant throw, and well, just like that, he's already at third base, just 90 feet away. Next batter, this is Jules Lucy. Pulling one through the left side. It's a single. It's going to score Bennett. That's going to make it a 2-1 game in the third. Top four, Renegades back in front by 2. It's 3-1. Vinny Carlini at first, trying to move himself up into scoring position. You got to be quicker than that, though, against the Renegades catcher. It's still 3-1. Then we go to the fifth. Carter Smith trying to tie this game with one big swing. Just got under that pitch. Renegades second baseman steps back, gloves it, but Smith did have some help behind him, because guess who's coming back up? It's Jules Lucy. Have yourself a game, young lady. Drill a line drive to center. Take that, boys. 2 runners come home to score. Landon Ashby steps on home. We got a 3-3 ball game. Now to the top of the 6th. Aces looking to take the lead, but it would be a ground out. This one would end in a 3-3 tie. The Aces play again tomorrow at 1:30. That'll do for sports tonight.
Here's a live look outside into Salisbury. We'll have one more check on the forecast after the break. The WNBA All-Star Game is headed to Indianapolis next month, and at the city's airport, you can have a courtside view. The Indianapolis International Airport unveiled a mini version of a WNBA court. It's a replica of the official WNBA All-Star Court. It will be seen by thousands of travelers coming through Indianapolis ahead of the All-Star Game. That's happening July 19th.
Well, if you missed the heat and humidity today, it's going to be right back in time for the weekend. And we're taking a live look into Salisbury, where we see some fog out there, 71 degrees, dew point still 71, so a damp night ahead, and we're going to be warming right back up to 92 tomorrow with some isolated storms developing through the afternoon. 91 on Sunday, again with a threat of a few isolated storms mainly in the afternoon. Torrential downpours possible, and yes, the mosquitoes aren't going anywhere as well, with the high humidity right through the weekend and into the early part of next week. Lori Bravaco of Millsboro, Delaware, you're the winner of our Paul Davis umbrella. You can get your forecast anytime, up to date by calling our First Alert Weather phone. And now your 10-day forecast shows that heat continuing into the early part of next week. Some strong storms possible late Tuesday, and then we dry things out middle part of next week, and looking pretty nice so far into the holiday. 88 degrees and no signs of any 100-degree temperatures in that 10-day forecast.
Well, that's good. Thank you, Chris. And thanks to you at home for joining us for Coast TV News at 11. You can find some more local news and local weather on our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon's up next, and we'll see you tomorrow for Coast TV News at 6 p.m. Have a great night.